What if greatness wasn't something you had to chase, but something you already carried inside? What if the stars, the oceans, the trees, and even your own breath were all made from the same thread? We live in a world that teaches us to prove our worth, but the way of Ashla reminds us worth is not earned, not entirely. It's inherent. Today's episode is an invitation to remember the greatness that lives in all things in creation, in the cosmos, and most importantly, in you. Welcome to the New Ashla Podcast. Hello and welcome to the New Ashla Podcast. I am your host, Justin Gates, and joining me today, as always, is my good friend, my compadre, my, what else are you to me? Student! My student, too. Michael Perry.
Hey, fam.
So, we're talking about the greatness in all things today, Michael.
Oh, I love this topic.
But I just want to say something to you guys out there. You see how red he is and how red I am today? We were out in the sun all day, and we're a little pasty, I think.
Weekend, even.
Because now we're all weekend. Yeah, all weekend. So, I wore the big hat and the stuff, but it didn't work, I guess. On you either. You're a little red today.
Yeah, no, I didn't even wear my glasses. I was out in the sun and the water, and it caught up with me.
Yeah. So if we look a little red and a little tired, it's because we've been hanging out outside for 2 days. So I know you love this topic. When I talked about doing it, you were pretty excited. Of course, this topic is inspired by the axiom of light. That which had existed before the universe was great. The universe is great. Creation is great. And people are great. How would you define this axiom, Michael? I know this is one of your favorites.
Man, it's the greatness that is inherent in all things, right? That's what we're talking about. The journey is learning about the greatness that resides within us, but it's like I see so much hatred out there where people can't stand other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is where this axiom could really benefit so much of society because, man, people are beautiful. People are amazing. We're all flawed. We all have our issues. We all have our own coping mechanisms, trauma responses, whatever. But on the whole, we're all cut from the same cloth. Like you said earlier, we're all a part of the same string of light.
Mm-hmm.
And in my perception, we're all a different perception of God in existence. And it's just when we start to see the God and humanity within people, we learn to love and value them so much more, even if it's just a stranger on the streets.
So, yeah, this axiom teaches us that greatness is fundamental. It's a fundamental quality that spans all of existence, right? As you said, from the infinite expanse of the universe that goes on forever and ever and ever, to the act of creation and the potential within every individual. Greatness is an intrinsic truth that we're all connected to. So it's not something reserved just for a few, nor is it something earned by acclaim or status or, in the way we see kind of superficial stuff earned today through social media, especially stuff like that. So,
well, I think Western society is so driven for things externally being what defines our greatness instead of focusing on the greatness that we have and are in this current moment, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And, not that stuff is bad or good or either. I don't have an opinion on it, but this kind of greatness we're talking about isn't that, right? It's a whole separate thing. It's not a hierarchy. It's harmony. It's the recognition that greatness is not an achievement in of itself, but it's essence. It's there.
Well said.
The force, creator, God, the force, the eternal light, whatever you want to call it, was great before time began. And from that greatness, all things were born. So the universe being born of greatness is also great. And creation, like I said, every star, every stone, every living being is infused with that same light, as you said a minute ago.
Yeah. Down to the blades of grass we see. Everything is imbued with this life force, this beauty. One of my favorite things to do is go out in nature and look at how perfectly trees grow around each other, how symmetrical all the different plants are that exist together, and just the greatness that is inherent within just living and existing, which is inevitably our goal too, to learn to just live, exist, and be present with our abundance.
So what is true greatness then?
Greatness, man, it's alignment. It is the ability to be authentic in all things we do. To be as unapologetically you as you can be, which so many people are afraid to do. I mean, that's what a lot of this healing work is, right? Pulling away those layers, taking off those masks. As kids, we were rambunctious. We did things. We were told not to do that, to calm down, to quiet down, to close off. And, greatness is coming back into that, to our authenticity and to our embodiment of all that brings us joy and expressing that joy. that love.
So this axiom honors 4 different layers of greatness: the source, the universe. So we're talking about the source, the thing before the universe that we can observe. Creation, which comes after the universe, and then people, us. Of course, implied is to every living being, but they kind of we're going to talk about how this inherent greatness is found even within us, even though we kind of feel like we're not. And I will say also that many of our fellows, many of the people that you and I associate with, and their different paths that are similar but not quite the same. Some of them will go so far into humility that they don't forget, or they just ignore that they aren't great, right? They don't kind of feel that way. They don't like to speak about that. Not here. We're calling it like it is, right?
Yeah. Well, I think this falls into the pacifists, right? You have the people who are really passive and the people that are really aggressive. The people that are passive forget their greatness and self-abandon, self-sacrifice to appease everyone else, because that's how they feel great, is by self-sacrifice. And on the other hand, you have the extreme of anger and aggression where no one else matters and they have to protect themselves and their own ego by keeping everybody at arm's length and keeping those defenses up, right?
Right. Yes, exactly. And I see it a lot. I've been doing this for a long time, and it's kind of a sticking point for some. And if that's their thing, great. But I'm going to remind them that there is greatness within them, just like there's greatness within all of us. So what is true greatness? When we're talking about greatness in the way of Ashlow, we're not speaking of achievement or power or recognition. Greatness is not a title either. It's not found in applause, measured in all of your accomplishments that you spent your whole life doing.
So what is greatness?
There is that kind of greatness, but again, talking about something different, something inherent, literally woven into every atom of our body. And it is, as you said, its essence, its presence, its alignment. It's that original light that pulses through the fabric of the universe, and in turn through each of us, right? It's not earned, it's remembered. You said something earlier about learning about how, that inherent greatness. No, I'm saying it's being remembered, right? It's there. It's some part of you knows it's there, knew it was there or whatever, but it's about remembering. A lot of stuff we do here is about remembering, right? The accomplishments that you have along this path is not to be owed to me or to the philosophy in and of itself. It's you remembering. You're waking up, right? So
when for the audience out there, I mean, what you're talking about here as far as that relearning, to know what the experience we're talking about, think of a time or the people that you're really comfortable being around, close friends, family, whatever it is, those you can be the most yourself with. You feel energized from these connections because you are living your greatness, because you're not afraid to be you amongst these people.
mm-hmm.
And part of this work is learning to let that be outside of you, even if it makes other people uncomfortable. Being able to be authentically you in any situation. But to know what the feeling feels like, it's what it's like when you're around the people you're closest to.
So let's talk about these four things. We'll start with source. That which existed before all else. Now, you're going to have to take my word for it because I can't show you, can't prove it to you, whatever. And this comes with a caveat, like each of us have our own little thing. But it's whatever existed before what we see now, right? The eternal, the creation, the creator, God, the primordial essence beyond time and form. It is infinite. It's unknowable, mostly. And most of us believe that it's holy, yeah? Its greatness. Its greatness is not bound by creation. It is the root of it.
It's like you said, inherently, right? I mean, it does not perceive itself as great. It does not sit around and think, am I doing great things today? It just is and does.
Right.
Whatever that ebb and flow looks like.
And someday I will share with all of you through our teaching shows what I've come to believe to be the source. But we won't get into that today because that's a whole nother 4 hours. And we'll save that for the teaching stuff. So what's next? The universe. The divine order, right? The stars, the galaxies, the laws of physics that govern time and space. But the universe is not random. At least we don't believe so. It's a reflection of some sort of intelligent harmony. In its balance, we witness how perfect it is balanced. If gravity was, so many degrees this way, it doesn't hold together. If oxygen wasn't at least this much percentage, then we don't breathe anymore. There's all these things that are very precise in the universe and on this planet. So it doesn't feel very random to me. if you're out there and you hate what I just said, I would love to bring you on and we can have a conversation about it. I think that'd be fun. But so the universe, the divine order, take us through creation, that living expression. That's the next one.
It's life, it's experience, it's what is unfolding in this very moment. Us having this conversation, you listening while you're doing whatever you're doing. We get so stuck sometimes in the lives we lead and in the monotony of it all, that autopilot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even that in itself is creation. I had a fun conversation with someone the other day about how even if you decide to just sit on your butt, work 40 hours a week, and all you do is come home and sit on your butt, that is free will. That is you exerting your free will and creating the life you want. And in turn, there's the strides of pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, doing things to expand your horizons and your skills and your wisdom and knowledge. And that's creation.
You all right? What happened?
That's what I was wondering.
Oh, I got a bubble right here. It went burp.
But yeah, no, creation is in itself what is unfolding all around us, whether it's ourselves, people we love, the neighbors down the street. Creation is in everything and everywhere. The grass growing and then dying when fall comes around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said. I was just going to say, the mountains, the rivers, the trees, and breath and creation. From our perspective, like from what we can see, creation seems to be like this outward expression of something inward, somewhere higher, and it's beautiful and it's dangerous, right? And it's deep and it's moving, and all of that reflects the grandeur of its source. So if all we see is beautiful, imagine what the source looks like if we could see it. It'd be amazing. And then there's us, people, the vessels of light, right? There is you and me and us.
And everyone we know. And everyone they know.
And everyone they knew, and everyone that was born, or everyone that's been born, everyone that will be born, and so on and so forth. Yes, we are living reflections of the divine. At least that's how I see it. Not above nature, not superior so much to the stars, but again, we have our place, and we're all kind of woven together. Think of it like as a huge tapestry, right? Where we have these different squares in like a quilt, maybe more like a quilt or something, where you have all these different squares, and all of them have a purpose in it, and they fit in the order perfectly. And then we're kind of the wild card sometimes because we don't have to follow exactly, right? We don't have to follow the flow, and we can choose, like you said, we have free will and stuff. We just did a show about that too.
Well, and the flow is so different per person. I mean, you just look at kids and how differently they're raised in a household, and there's a lot of different things that factor into that. But the universe's ebb and flow is touching these kids in different levels and ways, ups and downs, good and bad. It's so unique to each individual.
But yet we're still.
But it's all interconnected. Yeah,
you're right. We're still woven into the cloth, which is cool, actually. I mean, we talked about this in the Free Will show, and this greatness lives within us, not because we're perfect. We're really beautifully imperfect, right? But because we are connected. When we live in alignments. Talk about alignments today. When we choose that compassion, that truth, and that humility and courage, and we start to align more with that original greatness, that original light, that original truth. So it's not something that you chase. I challenge you to try it. Chase this greatness we're talking about. You get really tired and really frustrated.
Well, and you'll realize the more you chase that greatness, the more it's going to move away from you, or at least the feeling of having it.
Right. The whole time it's like right behind you. You think you're chasing it this way. It's just chilling right here, right?
Yep.
It's not something you chase, though. It's already in you. It's there. You were born of the same light that forged the stars. So were you. So was I. So was Heather, who's hiding over here in the corner. You guys can see.
All of the same stuff.
All the same stuff. Your presence here is not an accident, Michael. Remember that.
Well, I'm a firm believer. It's like I could see. I think everyone has some purpose they're supposed to fulfill in life, whether it's large or small. And like one of the minute thoughts I've had is like, say you and me are talking philosophy in public somewhere, and the impact we're supposed to make in life isn't even this. It's the one kid off in the corner who overhears our conversation. It's like, I want to be noble like that. I want to live like that. And we inspire the next Marcus Aurelius. Like, everything is so intrawoven, and you never know the ripple effects that every action, every interaction has with everyone around you, even people you don't realize are listening.
What do you say when the world tells you, prove yourself? What do you say?
Man, I tell you what, I used to think that's exactly what life was living. I was always chasing, how can I prove myself? How can I show my stuff? How can I validate my existence.
Say, bleep off.
Heather said a cuss word.
I bleeped it.
Here's what you say, Michael. You're not here to prove blank. You're here to be. You're here to be. And if you want, try to remember, practice to align. And if you do all these things, you just might get to embody that greatness that was already there and already yours.
Well, and one thing I really want to reflect on, and we're probably going to get into it more later, is the greatness in people. Again, I see so many people that can't stand other people. This is like a sickness I see in more people than not. And I heard this a long time ago, and it's something I've really tried to embody, and that's even when I'm meeting strangers, even if it's someone homeless begging on the street or whatever. I need to treat everyone like they are the reincarnation of Jesus. And it doesn't mean go worship them, follow them around, and throw things at them and all these things, but it means to give everyone you meet this unconditional love and respect. And people crave connection, and it's one of the weirdest parts about this, seeing people so disconnected and not liking other people, is everyone wants connection, but everyone's afraid to do the first handshake, put themselves out there, try to bridge that connection. That's why I'm so good with people. I love to bridge that gap, because you can tell the minute you connect with someone, it's instant. Like, we can talk about anything, we can talk about everything, and there's so much beauty in that. And I was listening to a sermon by Ram Dass the other day, and I love how he phrased this, and I've been trying to incorporate it. It's like, when I get nervous, when it comes to meeting new people, when I'm in social situations, which I get social anxiety just like anyone else does, but I've worked on it so much, I've gotten better with it. But I've learned it's when you're interacting with people, the way you look at them is with unconditional love. And I know that sounds kind of just vague, but I've noticed when I have that look in my eyes, when I realize my demeanor, when I shift it to just, I love you as a human being, like, hi, I'm Michael. Having that air about me changes the way people, even when we're passing by on the street and we look at each other for a second, that moment of eye contact, you can see this looseness that goes about people, how they just sort of surrender, let go, and smile back, nod their head, whatever. But there's this inherent power when we can start looking at each person with love instead of judgment, without criticism, or trying to define people as we see them.
So how do we start to reclaim this? Because, really, we live, like I said it before, we live in a world that feels like it's obsessed with just performance and comparison, improving everything, improving their worth, proving their value, proving just, that they're worthy of existing next to you. And we've been taught that greatness is something out there. It's something to chase. It's a spotlight. It's some level of success, which is a very, vague thing too. Success means a lot of things to lots of different people. But how do we start to reclaim this? How do we start to remember?
I think the most important thing is most of us operate from what's known as an external locus of control. And the more we can accept this reality that I remember for years, I'm like, I don't care what people think about me. And that was totally what I believed for years, until I really started looking at the masks I wore, the patterns I had, and how I interacted. And when we operate from external locus of control, it's where everything we do, everything we are, why we get nervous in public, it's all because we care about the validation and the opinions outside of us. And that's what matters to us. But if we can shift to an internal locus of control, which takes time, work, and dedication, where we can start validating our own existence and our own value, then we don't crave that from the outside, and therefore we let go of it. We surrender. We become present with our interactions because we're not trying to prove anything. We're just who we are, and we're taking them for who they are. If they don't want to be a part of this, that's totally fine. Move on to the next person. But that is what, in turn, really makes people so stuck in trying to do things outside. I need that nice new car. I need that big house. I need to start a business. It's all these things that we're doing for external validation. Like, I look back at a lot of my entrepreneurial ventures, and I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to be self-made. But what I really wanted is I wanted people to see me as someone who was effective and capable. And that's what the whole underlying thing I was going for, was validation from others if I did this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can resonate with that. I really think they can. So why do we forget? That's the next question, right? Why do we forget about the greatness that we're born with? The greatness that created us before we were even conscious of being us.
Yeah. Well, it comes back to what I was saying earlier about when we're kids, we're hyperactive and our parents are having a bad day and they're like, you need to calm down. You're being too much right now. Love is conditional. Do your chores and then I'll give you attention. It's all these little things that happen throughout life that make us...
Do your chores and you'll get attention too.
Well, and a lot of kids operate from that. That's one of the reasons a lot of kids turn rebellious is it's like, this is how I can get attention. This is how I can get validation. It may not be good, but it's better than distance and silence.
Yeah, it's true. We are conditioned, from like you said, from an early age, we're told either all the things you said, or as we start getting older, or if we're into some kind of sports or music or something, then people start to obsess around us, over us, trying to get us to do more and be more and prove ourselves more to be worthy, learn to play better, or learn to get better at sports or whatever. We internalize this stuff, and we internalize this lie that worth must be bought and that light must be earned.
Now, we have an interview launching next week that I had done with a wonderful woman named Jenna Moore. So what we talked about is how society has become, Western society is very hyper masculine. It's all about create, perform, and that's how we gain our success. That's how we gain our worth. And when it comes down to it, we need to have more balance in our lives. But the culture we live in is what breeds this within us. It's not just our parents. Their parents get this from their parents, and it's what's bred throughout our society. I'm taking anthropology this semester, and it's one of the biggest things I'm learning is how much culture plays such a significant role in molding people within society. And our society is so driven on this hyper masculine, I must give 100% all the time. I must earn everything I can. That way I can be respected and appreciated, because I can't give myself that. We're never taught in school, hey, you got a C on your test. Good job, you passed.
Yeah.
No, it's always you could do better.
You could do better. You could do more. If you get an A, I'll buy you ice cream.
Yep.
If that's the only time, yeah, well, that's good. Good points.
Or it's back in the day. Even back in the day, where on your report card it was like $100 for each A, or $50, and then 20 here, 10 here, and then if you get a D or lower, then you're grounded.
Right.
Yep.
Right. You still technically passed with a D, right?
Yeah. Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I spent a long time. It's
like I reference this interview a lot, but I love it because it's the truth. And this is what we do. We all want these high, lofty goals. We all want to create these major things that will give us this praise, right? And when we're working with kids, it's like you got to lower the bar. You got to set the bar low. And a lot of people don't like that. But when it comes down to it, if you got a kid who's getting constant D's, he's looking at being held back, you don't want to tell that kid, you need to get straight A's, you need to get your act together. Or that kid is going to have horrible self-esteem, not have any aspiration to actually try. You got to say, hey, let's try for that C minus, let's try for that C. And, support the low-hanging fruit, because this also applies for us in our adult lives. You want to start a business, you have no experience, go find a mentor. Go do something small. Go in a field that, you're going to struggle with sales. Go into car sales or phone sales. Go start developing the skills and be okay being a newbie.
Right.
Because that's where a lot of people get hung up, is they think that, I want to do this, so I'm going to know how to do it. And you need practical application.
Yeah. And nowadays I'll chat GPT my way through it.
Oh, it scares me. We could get on a whole tangent on where that's going.
We should do a show about that.
I've been considering it.
But, again, it's because we're conditioned. That's why we forget. This spiritual path, our path, maybe, I don't know, our path, it's not about becoming someone else, as we say all the time. It's about remembering who you already are. You just got to reach out and shake you a little bit sometimes. Right? I didn't mean to go like this. I meant like shoulders.
Some people need it a little more extreme.
I don't want to get canceled over this. But no, not who the world told you to be, not who you perform to be, but that soul, that essence beneath that armor that you've kind of erected around yourself to hide sometimes, to protect yourself. But it never left you. You just forgot. And this remembrance is not something arrogant. It's humble. It's not the kind of false humility that shrinks itself for approval either, that I was talking about before, earlier in the show. But that sacred kind of humility that says, I am not greater than the stars, but I'm not less than the trees. I'm part of the same miracle, right? I'm sacred because all of these things are sacred. So step outside and look closely at the world around you. That's the next thing we're going to talk about today. Not through the lens of a habit or distraction like phones and whatever. but with stillness, with reverence, with awe. The trees don't strain themselves to be magnificent, and they are. The ocean doesn't apologize for how deep it is, for how calm or angry it can be sometimes. The stars don't dim their glow to fit our moods. They just shine.
Right.
And the storm doesn't ask for permission to move this way to that way. And it doesn't do great stuff to us sometimes, but that is part of this perfect order of the universe. But creation reflects greatness without effort. It moves like the master, effortless action, because it lives in harmony with what is, and it doesn't try to be anything different, right? It's like a sacred mirror, right? A sacred mirror is what we're talking about here between us and all of creation.
Well, it's such a beautiful analogy because you even think of a tree, it's something were to fall on it, or it starts to grow to the side. I mean, it'll adapt to whatever's thrown its way, and it never takes time to think of the injustice of lightning striking it,
Right.
or it growing up against a pole where it then needs to weave around it. It just does. It just exists, and it's beautiful because nothing stops its growth because it is always just moving forward, whatever comes in front of it.
Yeah. And this is the real travesty here. Because we're really, in a sense, a lot of us, most of us, probably all of us, but I'll just say most of us are taught to disconnect, to see nature as something separate from us. What do you say?
Oh, yeah.
Now, you grew up in a place where nature was literally at your doorstep. I did too, for the most part, right? But a lot of people don't. So, folks who are born and raised to grow up in let's say a big city, they have to go hours away to find, I know they have parks and stuff like that, but it's almost like something you have to go to, not something that you already are part of, right? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
No, that makes total sense.
How damaging is that for us as
oh my
a
God.
creation?
They talk about the healing effects of running water, of birds chirping, and it's like, I mean, nature's such a big part of my life and what helps me feel grounded, where I escape to, and where I can just, I love how you brought up awe because that's what it is. I'll go sit down in the grass next to a river and just absorb the sound of the flow, watch the water flowing, contemplate how many gallons are moving here, watching the trees, seeing the grass, and just how perfect it all is. Like, I know these all sound hippie and whatever, but I'm telling you, nature is so proven to be beneficial for our emotional, mental, physical health that we all need to have time that we spend in nature. And I fought that for years. I was a gamer growing up. I didn't want to be outside. I wanted to be inside. Screw nature. And once I started exposing myself more to nature because I really didn't have anything else to do, it became my greatest passion. I went hiking every day, and that was some of the best, healthiest periods of my life.
Yeah. So, we must connect with all other things in creation because we are already connected, but we really must consciously connect and actually connect. Touch the trees, go lay in the grass, go sit by the water, drink from a stream, whatever, whatever it is whatever it is that you can do. But don't ever feel
be cautious drinking from streams.
Well, it depends on, don't drink the water in Manitou, but someone's looking that up right now. Manitou, water in Manitou. Yeah. You'll only drink it once. They say it's good for you, but I'm not drinking that twice.
That's my brother.
But but anyway, just don't ever think that you're separate from any of this. And that's kind of the point of this. I'm calling it a mirror because we kind of wander around looking like, I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like there's some wires that aren't quite plugged all the way in, and I'm looking around for it. It's funny because I work at off the clock security for a church that's in the place that I work in that you're from. And every morning someone will say, "Oh, we ought to bring a screen out here so you can see the sermon," or "We ought to bring speakers out here so you can hear the sermon." And I look them dead in the eye every time and I say, I got the best seat in the house because I can look out to the west and I can see the front range of the Rocky Mountains. Literally, right in front of me. And right now they're green. And it's rolling in there. And if you look further to the south, you can still see some snow on the very peaks of Pikes Peak, right? That's the best seat in the house. That's always the best seat in the house because I get to hear the birds, I get to hear the wind, I get to see the sun. I get to experience all of creation from that one spot. And so, no thanks. I don't need to go in and have a good seat. I got the best seat in the house because really the earth is outside of our houses and outside of our offices and outside of our whatever is a cathedral, really, right?
Yeah. I'll never forget moving away when I was in the military. I lived in Chicago and I lived in California. And when I moved back to Colorado and I did that drive and getting up where the mountains came just in view, and it was just like that moment of falling in love again. Of just, God, this is so breathtaking.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Get outside. Get outside more. We all should get outside more. So let's talk kind of the shadow side of this, Michael. We're going to kind of darken this a little bit. If greatness is our birthright, what happens when we forget?
That's when we get over-identified with who we think we need to be. It's those masks we wear. It's that shrinking of ourselves so that we can fit into a society.
We question our worth. We quiet our voices. We allow ourselves to get put in roles.
It's the loss of individuality.
Right? Yeah, to feel validated, but we're really dishonoring our free will and dishonoring our authenticity. And we'll settle for those roles that we weren't meant for, that are too small for us sometimes.
Yeah.
And we try to fit in wherever we can, and we try to fit in places where we were meant to stand out, right? We start to compare ourselves. We talked about this in the Envy and Disdain show, where, how destructive that can be. But we measure ourselves against other people because we forget that we carry a flame too. We see their flame, we want their flame, but we forget that we carry this flame also.
Comparison is one of the worst things to plague humanity. I mean, the minute we start looking to our peers and other people in our life, whether we're looking at material goods, jobs, whatever, the minute we're lost in what everyone else has and we don't have is the minute we start really being lost in direction. We lose purpose. We lose sight of what's important.
We instead of honoring nature as a cathedral, as a part of the same cloth that we were cut from, we may try to dominate it and walk. Rather than walking in communion with all of other creation, the earth and whatever, we attempt to control it, or we end up polluting it or exploiting it.
Well, it's like the two extremes, right? I mean, we get too passive and we end up fearing our own power, or we get too aggressive and we end up misusing it. And it's just this delicate dance when we are powerful within ourselves, when we're able to take a stand for who we are and stop caring what everyone else thinks. No longer do we need to use this power for anything other than just building ourselves and our lives, not trying to control other people or outcomes or situations. It's a surrender.
Yeah. And these are all just symptoms of us forgetting, right? That's because we're talking about power. When you fear your power, when there's a lack of awe, you start to misuse it. You start to try to bend everything or control everything. Or we go the other way. We shrink ourselves again because we don't want to be too much. I don't want to be too much. I'm sorry, I'm too much. So we shrink. But really, these are all symptoms of disharmony. We've lost balance. We've lost alignment. But we can always come back to remembrance. We can always remember. We can always realign. We can always come home, as they say, right? Because you don't have to invent greatness again. It just needs to be revealed, folded. And for those of us who carry a lot of masks, you might have to take a lot of masks off. You might have to clean a lot of wounds or silence a lot of noise.
Get a lot of the skeletons out of the closet. We pile all these traumas up, we pile all these experiences, all these things we're shameful about, whatever, and it's like, it's taking these things, letting them breathe, and finding peace again.
We've talked about a lot of stuff today, remembering and what happens if you don't, and some scary stuff, some spooky stuff, hopefully enlightening and stuff that brings you hope. So let's share some things, some ways that we can remember. We say reconnect, but really it's reconnecting here, right?
Yeah.
So what are some practical ways we can do that?
Man, I think the easiest step you can take, get involved with something you're passionate about. Whether that is hiking or skateboarding or going and playing sports, or if it's playing board games, finding a board game meetup. It's following the things that make your soul sing. We all have our own hobbies, interests, and it can get sort of drowned out by things like television and video games. But even then, there are communities you can go to meet people, get yourself involved, put yourself out there around like-minded people to start cultivating that inner authenticity and getting more in touch with what you enjoy. Child work. I'm a big fan of child work, and your inner child wants to connect with you. Mm-hmm. And that is the energy you feel inside when you are doing something that brings you bliss. And so the more you do things like that, the more you're going to learn how to listen to this inner knowing, this inner drive for more. Mm-hmm. We feel it when we spend time with the people we love, this joyful feeling, this abundant feeling. And it's all about putting yourself out there and getting involved in things that are authentic to you and not who you feel like you have to be. Don't join the biking club because you want to seem like you're getting in shape. Do it because you enjoy biking.
Yeah, because you like it. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing just comes because you like it. And the more you like it, the more healthy you get. I would say get back out in nature once again. Step outside of all the noise and all the trappings of modern life, even if it's just for an hour. Speak with the wind. I'm going to sound like a hippie now, like you were calling me a hippie earlier. I'm going to sound like one now.
I was listening to a psychologist earlier this week, and I loved how he said it's like we need to learn how to cultivate the capacity for boredom. We all want single point thinking, which is where we're scrolling on our phones, playing a game, watching something. We are always trying to keep our minds focused on a single point, and we don't want anything interfering with this single point in thinking. We need to learn how to sit in boredom, because in boredom, that's when a lot of creativity can blossom. That's when a lot of self-examination can happen. I mean, we talk about mindfulness. Because that's when we silence that's when the voice in our mind, we give it space to breathe. We allow ourselves to feel what we need to feel, because that's what we're running from.
That's right.
We're constantly trying to avoid the noise, and the noise is exactly what's keeping us stuck and not moving forward. We need to decompress. In Hindu philosophy, they talk about taking a week, no technology, even silent retreats, no talking, giving yourself that space for your mind to just go crazy, yell all the things it needs to say, and then let it decompress and heal up. And it's just so important to give your mind that space to be bored.
Right. So get back out into nature. It's just so good for you. No one ever says, man, I went out to the forest today and I feel like crap. Unless they got allergies, we understand. Trust me. We're doped up on allergy medicine out here all day long. But yeah, no one feels bad. I've never in my life felt bad going for a little walk out in nature. So, of course, meditation. You guys all know what meditation is. Another thing that in Ashla, it's kind of an Ashla specific thing, not like we invented it, but this is something that we teach in Ashla to help cultivate these ideas, is to be of service, right? Serve others, could be tiny things. Go to the supermarket with the intention of serving someone, grabbing some off the top of the shelf or something, or
help someone load their groceries in their car.
Load their groceries. Don't be a creep about it. People are kind of leery. That stuff.
Look with that unconditional love.
Right. Show them the look. Show them the look, Michael. I love it. Yep. Don't do my look.
You need help with that?
Do his look. Don't do my look. Do you have anything you want to close with today before we move on?
Again, this is all about practice. We talk about the greatness in all things, embodying and finding our own greatness. To have the awareness is good, but it takes practice to really start to feel it in your bones, that feeling of greatness. One other thing, and I know I've brought it up a lot, about looking for the greatness in other people, seeing people with unconditional love. The more you can do that with the people you run into in your daily life, the more it'll be mirrored back to you and you will feel it inside. It's definitely not just for other people's benefit. It will help you on this path of finding your own greatness, is by looking for it in others.
Well said. That sacred mirror. Yeah, greatness is not this great mountain to climb. There's nobody up there waiting for you to give you your one wish or whatever it is.
Yeah. I think of Wayne Dyer. I was listening to one of his sermons he gave a month or so ago, and he was talking about how he would have people come up to him and be like, hey, we're thinking about moving to your city. What are the people like? He's like, well, what are they like where you're at? Well, they're kind of annoying, loud, and really only care about themselves. Like, you're going to get more or less that here too. Get another people come up. What's the people like here? Well, what are they like where you live? Well, they're fun, they're happy, they're full of love and joy. And it's like, you're going to find that here too.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good for that. So, it's not this great mountain that you climb and, you meet the guru at the top of the hill. You're going to climb many mountains, right? Many summits, many valleys too, though.
Yeah.
So greatness is not something that's above you. It's not below you. It's not away from you. It's not beyond you. It's not like you're never going to find it. It's already within you and around you, and it permeates you, and it connects you to everything, every other thing literally in the entire universe. So, and again, we were talking about the stuff that, the world parades around loud and self-centered. And, I did it. I, cut down 1,000 trees to build a log cabin that I never visit. You know, that's not success. You know, it's quiet. It's steady. It's alive. It's in your breath. It's in the trees. It's in the skies. And in every act of love and in every moment of presence, right? So that which had existed before the universe was great, is great. The universe is great. Creation is great. And people are great. This is not a metaphor. And although it's kind of beautiful, it's not poetry. It is to help us remember. You were not made to shrink. You were not made to compare yourself. You were made in the image of the source, from greatness, for greatness. And our goal is to be in harmony with all things, really. So I just wanted to remind you of that, because sometimes we're going to forget. Sometimes I forget. We have moments. Let us pray. Let's close our eyes. Eternal source of light and love, I breathe in the fullness of existence, and I remember the truth that has always been. Greatness is not something I must chase. It is something I already carry. Before all things, there was greatness, and that same greatness flows through the stars, through the rivers and trees, through the breath in my lungs, and the light within my soul. I no longer diminish myself to be accepted. I no longer compare myself to shadows. I honor the greatness within me, not with arrogance, but with reverence. I see this greatness in creation, in the quiet strength of nature, in the miracle of life itself, and I see it in others, especially when they forget. Today I choose to walk in alignment with this sacred truth, that I am a part of something vast and eternal, that I am not small, that I am not separate, that I am not forgotten. I am whole, I am radiant, I am great, because I am of the light. Let this remembrance guide me, humble me, and also ignite me. And so it is.
Man, those are good.
I love prayer. They're probably tired. They're probably tired of hearing me say that. I love prayer. I do. Heather knows. Our affirmations for today. I'm a reflection of the greatness that existed before all things. The universe flows through me. I am not apart from it. I am a part of it. I release smallness and reclaim my place in the vastness of creation. Greatness is not ego. It is essence, and I choose to live in that truth. I honor the divine spark within me and recognize it in all beings. I am grounded in humility and lifted by the majesty of my soul. In every breath, I remember I am connected, I am sacred, and I am great. So, we like to talk about mirrors a lot. We talked about mirror today, sacred mirror with nature. Well, our exercise today is the mirror of creation. And the point of this, the purpose is to awaken your awareness of your divine origin and energetic unity with all things. So, first thing we're going to do is set our space, as we always do. We're going to find a quiet place in nature, if possible, if you can, or at least sit next to a window, a plant, something that's alive. You could even, like my buddy Greg here. George? No, his name is Greg. It's Greg. Greg the tree. Okay. Sit next to Greg. The next thing we're going to do is breathe. Breathe deeply and try to center and still ourselves. We're going to close your eyes and you're going to take 7 slow breaths. You can take 5, you can take 20, whatever. I just always kind of pick a number in the middle for most of us. But here's the important part. With each inhale, imagine drawing in the breath of the universe. With each exhale, release your smallness, release doubt, release all the negativity. The next part, you can either whisper or say it within, or if you need to write this down, go ahead. It's up to you. But I want you to focus on these 3 things. I come from the source of all that is. I come from the source of all that is. I come from the source of all that is. What existed before creation now lives in me. That which is great beyond comprehension chose to create me. I sit with these for at least 3 to 5 minutes if you can. If you need longer, take your time. It's a race. Now we're going to do some visualization. I want you to picture yourself as a point of light, tiny little point of light. But no matter how small you are, make sure you radiate that thing, man. Make it glow bright. And as you're breathing, this light will start to expand. And it'll start to bridge the gap between you and everything else. It'll connect you to the stars, oceans, forests, whatever. whatever you want to visualize it connecting it to, whatever you need it to connect you to. Feel your identity melt into something far greater. Could be far older, something more wise, something more sacred. And once you've played with that visualization for as much time as you need to, speak this to yourself or out loud, up to you. I am not separate from greatness. I am an expression of it. Close this exercise out in whatever way you feel comfortable. Most of us just kind of put our hands together. Some of us, you can do this. You can just open your eyes, whatever's comfortable for you. And make sure you give yourself some gratitude before you jump off and go save the world or do whatever. So, Michael, do you have anything to add to that exercise?
No, that was powerful.
Those of you who've been with us for a while, we're on episode, I think this is going to be 48 by the time it hits. It'll be 48 or 49. You're going to start seeing, at least from me, you're going to start seeing these exercises. I'm just going to start assuming that you know some of the basic stuff. And, I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. But I feel like we've been together so long and you've heard me do these. When I say, hey, let's get our space ready, right? You kind of know. And for my favorite, I'm not supposed to have favorites, Michael, am I?
No, but you do. Regardless, you're human,
I
unfortunately.
do. My journalers, I love them so much. My journal prompts for today, for you journalers out there: what beliefs have I held about greatness? Where have I mistaken greatness for ego? We all do that a lot. There's a hint. When do I feel most connected to the greatness of creation? And what parts of myself have I ignored or diminished that deserve reverence? So, those are our prompts for today.
Where have I mistaken greatness for ego? I love that. That is such a good reflection.
It is. And just, again, let whatever come on the paper. Try to distill it down to something you understand, but get something out of it. And don't be so hard on yourself. You're great. That's what the whole point of the show was. If you made it this far, you're great. And you're great, Michael.
You're great, Justin.
And you're great, Heather.
Thank you.
And all of you are great. We love you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, ad Lucian.
Ad Lucian.